To all the people out there on Facebook and on our YouTube channel and otherwise shared audience, this is the Prolific Press January 2023 reading event hosted by Glenn Lyvers, and we have all the cool kids here. We're going to start with Carol Lee and move on to Sean O'Connor, and we hope you all enjoy the reading today. Go ahead, Carol, and you'll have to unmute yourself again.
Okay, can you hear me? I was muted again.
Yes, absolutely. You're in good shape.
Okay, I'm going to read a poem that Glenn accepted for Poetry Quarterly a while ago. We haven't seen another Poetry Quarterly lately, and I hope we do have another one. But this is called When Wilding Returns. It's also the title of my new chapbook that is out. And so I shall read it for you. When Wilding Returns. Crossing a field no longer farmed, purple asters huddle in clusters against the sky slanted in orange waves. The rays dapple yellow sunbonnets, tawny sweetgrass, red-tipped prairie grass, brown-eyed Susans, small bursts of chamomile ready for tea. Splayed hoofprints in ochre sand say the doe and her fawns still forage together. When fall's flames dim, early winter will bring the gray buck, the hunter, close behind. When Wilding returns. How much do you want? Oh, thank you. How much time do you want for us? Can we read another or shall I move on?
Oh, no, absolutely. Everybody reads two pieces if they are so inclined. And you can feel free to tell us a little bit more about your chapbook, like maybe who's publishing it. And you can also go to our Facebook page and put a link there because we all try to support each other.
Yes, I'm so glad that you are doing this. Communities during this time of COVID have meant so much. And ironically, the one thing that has been a saving grace for COVID for me has been that I've been writing. And I'm sure that makes sense to other people too. I'll read a poem called This Is Your Poem, Rabbit. I remember asking you, was it a coyote? But I knew he would have taken you with him. I came closer. You couldn't run. I nudged you. There was no blood. Your ears laid back, and I stroked that soft inner space between my fingers. I never thought the wildness in you would ever let me hold you, but there we sat a while, you in my lap. I felt the length of you, no breaks and no leaping away in pain. It was early spring. I remember a racing under your ribs, your chest rising in quick half breaths, the shed door swinging in the March wind. Did you get in there, find something? As I pondered the rage of every argument unresolved in the house, stuff to kill still in the shed. Your eyes opened as if to see if I were still there, and mine closed as if shutting out the world could make it go away or help you stay in it. This is your poem, Rabbit. Thank you.
Thank you.
The chapbook is printed by Cyberwit, Cyberwit Press, and it does have a website, and I can put that up. Do you know, I'm so glad that I got on today. I did not know you have a Facebook page. I shall get on it immediately.
Oh, well, we do, and thank you for that. And I didn't realize when you first came in that this was your first time with us. So thank you for coming in today, and we hope to see you every month. It would be really wonderful.
Yeah.
Such strong work too, by the way. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Okay, Sean O'Connor.
I always forget to unmute. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to read two pieces from The God of Bones, which is going to be launched next month. online, by the way. So if any of you are interested in attending that launch, I can send you the link, but I'll put my website into your thing. What do you call it? The thing.
The thing, yeah.
The thing. But if you do want to the link for that launch, you'd be very welcome. Just let me know. We don't send the links out. We send them individually to everybody. Anyway, I'll better read. This is called Something Good. Still awake at 3 a.m., she decides to get up and put her insomnia to use. The mortar shell box she had found in the parlour of her father's house sits laden with cutlery on her kitchen floor. Its rope handles and sturdy construction make it ideal to carry the weight of the many knives, forks and spoons she had gathered from the debris of her family home. After weeks of searching, she had found a charity that would take them. Breath pluming icy air as she pulls on pink marigolds. Then through them, the warmth of water on her hands in the steely sink. For over a year, she had painstakingly gone through the immensity of his hoardings, every room stuffed from floor to ceiling with other people's rubbish. The Walthamstow Soccer Club gladly took 21 footballs, and the Animal Rescue was grateful to receive 18 dog leads. Gradually, she emptied the house. In this final act of ablution, she was determined that something good must come of it all. Heavy frost outside, suds in the kitchen sink, pockmarked with teardrops. She is systematic, piles forks on the floor to the left of the box, knives to the right, spoons straight into the sink. Their uniqueness, her thumb in each concave, fingers cupping convex, her rubbing motion, cleaning. 100 shiny spoons in every one of them, this winter moon. Fresh water, then the noise of handfuls of forks into white sink. Their curves a different feel to the spoons and to each other. The knives next in their own water, their straightness, their hint of danger. Now she feels some speed, a touch of aggression, a sweep towards conclusion. In the darkest night, the rasp of father's stubble, reddening soft ties. She looks at the empty box, the shadow it casts within itself. Thank you. And the second piece is called Lost. Breakfast alone, then pack a rucksack. Destination, nowhere in particular. On the doorstep, this beautiful stoat, its dead eyes gleaming. Gravel, turn onto the Nina Road, past the floating ballroom. Under black cloud, marsh swans, their whiteness. Onto the motorway, southbound. On the radio, Brexit uncertainty, a coup in Turkey, instability, crisis. Between bogs, the hard highway, racing on. Drive onward and head for small roads, grassy dirt tracks through the Burren. Drive until there is no one. Walk west to the coast. Unforgiving, a world of stone, this silence. Hunger, somewhere, everywhere, famine graves. Over distant turlocks, rain threatens. The cry of a bird among rocks, unanswered. Atop a brow of stone, the Atlantic in view. By its brim below, a road winds, nothing in all directions. A cold ocean, empty land, one black hut. Stop to eat, hunger without appetite, this pointless longing, somehow amplified by the fact of breeding. Alive in hostility, downhill, steps heavy and awkward, the air becomes salty, the ground leveling out, Finally, lying prostrate, inching over the cliff. Now I hear it. In this world, no one knows where I am. Nobody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Well,
You're welcome.
you really took us somewhere, didn't you? It was remember where I am for a second. Okay. I'm going to read a quick one, and then Lynette, you'll be up. Okay. So let me just pull this up. I can never remember. I need to take better notes. I don't know what I've read and what I haven't read. This is called What My Wife Thinks About the American Legion. There is an imperceptible cracking, the groaning railroad bridge splintering, its sagging trusses bearing heavy loads that she knows a single car could never abide. She senses a wanting, something within his languid stare, something brooding below the surface, bubbling up like sulfur, the subtle cueing of an impending geyser. I'm going to the American Legion. Words that have her heart in, between holding reins and loosing to the river, her pressing stallion still unbroken. She believes the Legion is where kinsmen meet, where we talk about our railroad cars, where they were made, what they carry, what model, unit, and number they are. She says we are a legion of model train collectors, like tradesmen with a language of our own. Always the topic is railroad cars. We never mention bridges. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Lynette.
Hello, this is Lynette Esposito from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I wrote a poem called Helping a Friend Prepare for Death. Her hair fell like seeds where we stood, scissors in my hand, shaping the contour of her black tresses to fit her head, to fit her need. She was no longer young, and the long dark silk that threaded down her back seemed inappropriate, she said. She said, how would it look to have hair like that in the casket? I wish she could grow from those seed-like sprouts surrounding our feet, planted like statues to hold time in place. Tomorrow will come and she will be gone, except for a thick curl in a box in the back of my dresser drawer marked Lucy and a note. Thank you for your kindness. And a poem Sean wrote affected me when he talked about his dead father's bones singing. So I wrote a poem that's his reaction. It's called When the Seasons Change. My friend Sean said in a poem, he could hear his dead father's bones singing. When December comes, your birthday month, my love, the air whistles through the snow-laden boughs, loud and joyful. I think it is you, glad to be on your way home until the sound ceases. That's it.
Wow.
Thanks, Sean.
I can't thank you enough for that. That's amazing. That's super. Thank you so much. I'll tell my father.
Yeah, that was something. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Gloria Caviglia, please.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm blacked out today, but I'm using my husband's computer, so I don't know what's worse, the in and out of not having good, Wi-Fi or not seeing me. I think it's better you're not seeing me. This poem is entitled If Only. If only I hadn't been so impulsive with the first marriage. If I'd listened to my older brother. If I'd stayed to raise the kids. If she hadn't left me for another woman the second time around. If I hadn't listened to my common sense and taken that damn job in Cincinnati. If I hadn't stayed in dead-end Latrobe, retired with a plaque and a solar-powered watch. If only I'd purchased that Barbados condo that now is worth $2 million and rising, maybe the kids would visit me more. If only I had taken that ballroom dancing class. If I had laughed, played, and prayed more. If only I knew then what I know now, then if only would become I did, and there would be no, I'm sorry, I couldn't, or I never. If only.
Very nice. I like how that there's this little moment of reaching where try to justify some reason why the kids don't visit more. I think we all empty nesters, we feel that like, wow, maybe there's some like thing, you know. That was great. Good job. You have another one for us?
I do. This was published in a publication called A Celebration of Sisters. It was the end to a story. We older women of a certain age call ourselves the old pocketbooks. So this is called In Celebration of Old Pocketbooks. They are timeless, get better with age, travel everywhere and don't worry about how they look because they look amazing, aren't intimidated by trendy others, hold and keep your secrets, ready to risk new adventures. They are simply the best.
Very nice. Thank you for that.
Thank you,
If you could
everyone.
see the screen, oh, maybe you can. Yeah, I guess you can. Everybody is applauding. It's an interesting thing that you talk about the age of poets, and somebody asked me recently, like, at what age do I see people really start blooming? And I think for female poets, at least it's just my personal opinion. Please don't take any offense if you're under 30, but I think it's around 30. That's when people, what I feel like my personal anecdotal experience is that female poets really seem to have something to say at that point. They calm down and they say it. Before that, it's mechanics and stuff for a lot of people, and it's really, really special. And I just love the feminine voice. There's something about that. And Dennis Malsby for the masculine voice. There's this absolute fantastic crispness in the way that you describe things, and there's a difference. I think there really is, in my opinion. Okay, KB, you're speaking for the younger poets.
I laugh because I was thinking, well, I don't think I hit my stride until I was 40, and that was more than a decade ago. So I agree with you on that. All right, this first poem was published in Fortnightly Review, and it's called Beneath a Cold Moon. Frost rhymes and cracks the waves, specks of ice churning, spinning and tossing toward the shore. Like the sparrow fluttering outside my window, thrashing wings against its reflection, the surf whips and batters the air. When did that chill blow in? That angry pulsing plunge into the fissures of each person we pass. Let the frantic beating blow across the billows, far past the shores where we stand, waiting with candles, memories seething. Set flame to the icy peaks that freeze around our feet, tide tugging us toward the ocean's liquid heart, where only love can save us. And this one was published in Arlet Joe, and it's called 3 Rules for Being a Poet. I guess commenting kind of on what we were talking about. Come as you are, full of compassion and curiosity, maybe not full, but with some interest in minutiae and abstractions, a bit of knowing that others need your voice. Even if you don't care where they're from, you find out where they're going, and even better, help them find out why. This world is thick with love and loss. You have your own, and so does everyone else. They may still be in that sweet place, roses and sunshine surging their veins. Maybe their wounds fester or bleed, every unthinkable creeping around their hearts. You must meet them where they are. Decaying leaves and fractured bluebirds, the 6-year-old skipping in her yard, the teenager skidding out of the drive, moon sliding above mountain ridges, rain lashing your eyes, cobwebs and brick walls, her grandfather's labored breathing, your mother's hand on your cheek. Write it all. Thank you.
Come as you are. I love the way that the first poem, you just kind of took us somewhere and left us there. And there's this temptation for, I think, a lot of poets to take us someplace and then tie it together with something earlier in the poem. And you're just like, you just dropped us there. That's nice. And then that come as you are, that was just the greatest way to start that, wasn't it? The rules to be a writer or a poet is, you know, that's nice. It's really nice. Okay, Dennis, let's hear from you today.
All righty. This is a song or a poem from my newest poetry book, Heart Songs. There's a 4-song, and this is the post song, which is the last poem in the book. Goodbye. The river of my memory rushes and churns through the dark hospital room. Drifting thoughts ground on green snags and sandbars. My ancestors' welcome songs blend and swell. The mad pipes of blue-painted Celts, honeyed Elizabethan madrigal voices, the sharp metallic ring of Greek bouzouki, and Iowa fiddlers' do-si-dos, and the raucous boogie of big bands rift me out of my sleepless husk. I canter on Appaloosa over tall grass prairie, my bare feet streaked blue and yellow by coneflowers and asters. Lightning rags the fast cloud sky, ozone, animal musk, plant perfumes fill my lungs, my cheek against the spotted horse's warm neck. Looking back, my love, I see your silhouette in the door, even from the infinite miles my soul has traveled. Your hair put up, a few loose curls, a light with red blonde tint. With whispered prayer, your woman's shadow swirls past the wall of nurses and doctors. In my final seconds, you gather me in your firm, comforting arms. And then the second one is just in line with what we were talking about at the very beginning of the program about poets and their being the repository of a lot of culture, and even back before most people could read. This is just entitled Poets. In the past, wolf-cloaked shaman forged visions with heavy bronze words. Lively ringed wise women swirled amber-beaded skirts to time their stories. Harp-bright minstrels brought fire to earth in song and rhyme. Honored ones, always seated by the right hand, whether in wattle and daub hovels or oak-beamed great halls. Today, women chase passion, burn fingers at every touch. Men seek answers. Hairy arms beat delicate work. With bent legs and hooked arms, raggedy, addicted lovers of the muse climb the spirit wall for glimpses of truth, prophecy, and insight. Daylilies bloom with each word.
Thank you, Dennis. Always strong. James Bethel, please.
I think I found the unmute. Well, it's winter. What can I say? And with winter and Memphis on my mind, I was prompted to a preface by Wu Jun, a Zen master, still living, who wrote, "That person who is not loving has not experienced love. It's not his fault. Realizing this gives rise to forgiveness." This poem is entitled Longing. Someday, you too, and I, will cease our doing and embrace our being. And it'll be so unique as to be beyond our present imagination. Just as is the very next moment. This one, the one between these words, between the in-breath and the out-breath. And at the end of this stanza, will there be another stanza? We listen with an intent on following the echo as it fades into wherever echoes go, and long for just one more. And this is dedicated to the last of the fall days. Remembering Rilke. Some of the people of my past read some of the poems that I have written. And often in these last of snowy days, do we join in such a ritual, connecting with words, as if separated by distance, as if separated by time. We are Rilke's fitful wanderers, watching the last of these wild leaves in winter. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to read one, and then we're going to go to Edward Ahern and Michael Flanagan after that. A few years ago, after reading a big hullabaloo online about people saying that nobody should write poems about God anymore, I wrote one just thinking that I would eventually post it because I'm a little porcupine-ish sometimes, but I didn't, and I'm going to read it because I've never shared it. It's called Stay, Lord, Please Stay. In the storm undenied, the deepest timbre of your thunderous voice breaking over me, piercing the frail levee of my body, splaying open the rawness of my soul, filling every empty space all at once, until even the rocks vibrate as teeth before the darkest hour. Every place high and low, saturated and spilling over. This is where I hear you clearly, undeniably in my heart. And I beg you, Lord, to stay and never quiet the cracking thunder. Thank you. Okay, Edward Ahern, please.
Hi, just parenthetically, I've got my latest chapbook called Questionable Views is coming out from Finishing Line Press in May. And that's just to say that I look back on my other titles and they were Dirty-Handed Graspings, Irregular Images, Crosswind Passage, Questionable Views, and the next one is going to be called Sideways Glances, which suggests to me that I either am dubious about my worldview or the quality of my poetry. So, because there's a consistency in those titles.
Dirty-Handed Graspings is available on the Prolific Press bookstore, just saying.
That was my next comment. Thank you. Okay, these are not, actually the first one it's running on Verse Virtual currently. The second one, not yet, it's still smoking. First one's called Dear Diary. I do not dread the accidental deletion, for scraps of my being are eternal. Paper rots, burns, mulches, or recycles, but photocopies and reprinting sprout. Inadvertently scrubbed emails survive for ages in the cluttered files of receivers. Self-posed audio and video lurk globally on websites and computers. But I do sometimes worry that if I were ever pastiched back together, it would create a gargoyle caricature of vanity, self-adulation, and inanity. The next one was actually written earlier this week, so it's pretty new. They don't talk much anymore. Their intimacy speaks in the unsaid. Opposition unraised, disagreement stilled, stifled correction or contradiction, permission for those close to rest in the wrong while choke chaining the harsher truths. Little silent helping things saying that courtesy is an inadequate term to explain the need to hold one another in loving stasis.
Very nice. I don't think I would know that that was a, essentially a first draft or something that hasn't been, that was good. Nice and strong all the way through. Good work on that, Edward. Sometimes it just happens that way. Isn't it
Yeah.
nice when it goes that way?
It is. Yeah,
It doesn't, it doesn't always go that way, does it?
No, I more often have brain farts.
Michael Flanagan, please.
Okay, I write mainly Tonka, I guess, although I just think of them as little poems because they're pretty personal. So I have two today. As I practice on my penny whistle, the dog creeps away, getting as far from bedlam as possible. As I practice on my penny whistle, the dog creeps away, getting as far from bedlam as possible. And the other one, where's the other one? Oh, there it is. Homeless, taken in by friends who just scrape by. A rental near the hay barn, awake at night to sounds that frighten the cat. Homeless, taken in by friends just scraping by. A rental near their hay barn, waking at night to sounds that frighten the cats.
Very nice. Always strong. The way that you can just bring forth just a bigger image than what seems possible in so few lines and words, those little short, crisp, that's great. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to go to Bob Whalen, then Doug Van Hooser, Linda Embler. So you'll know the order that people are on deck. Bob.
Okay, thank you. I got two, if that's okay. One is highly structured according to all the rules. It's a guzzle, and we all know people who get in their own way. The source of heartache. Why can't you see your need to break is the poison source of your heartache? Snake that strangles with the same mistake, the poison source of your heartache. That empty hole torn in your soul is filled with anguish you won't console through hollow, endless demands to take, the poison source of your heartache. You retain a drive for inflicting pain that is somehow misconstrued as gain. To accumulate is a grave mistake, the poison source of your heartache. A motherless, abandoned child left to wander in the wild, misguided journeys you undertake to the poison source of your heartache. You cannot see we each feel lost in a torrid sea, all cruelly tossed by wounds and sorrows that approximate the poison source of your heartache. A shipwrecked victim blind in fright to a fatal anchor clinging tight. Yet as you drown, you won't forsake the poison source of your heartache. Fleeing the flames of a home on fire, your panic grasps to save false desire. Embracing such a worthless fake, this poison source of your heartache. The universe abandons all, left to heed creation's call, and choose to shake true love awake, or the poison source of your heartache. Listen to these words, employed in hopes you'll glisten overjoyed. When offered kindness, please partake. Starve the poison source of your heartache. Two quiet truths to understand. Our life will rarely bloom as planned, and Robert's heart will always break, watching the poison source of your heartache. And then we were talking about people of a particular age. My youngest kids are going out on their own, and I'm a dinosaur dad, and so I have an arc of life to look at. I hit, apparently, if it's 30, you hit your stride. I did that 45 years ago. Okay, this is called What Can We Say? What can we say to our children? What can we say about the inevitable imperfections? What can we say about the faults and inconstancies with words that don't feel like sharp sleet against the skin? How do we explain in a way that is not shallow and pitiful all the reasons for the baggage we carry from our own childhood? How do we stop the burning from being transferred from one generation to the next to prevent continuation of heartache and loss? How do you explain that you were once a child who was hit with clenched fist, left damaged and emotionally handicapped, that now you will have to leave their mother and them too because that's just how it works? How can we save our souls while leaving pieces of them behind? Is it just another rationale for selfishness? How do you apologize for the hurt you caused crashing through life, leaving shards and splinters because your heart was on fire and you were trying to escape the burning? How do you explain that one can have compassion and hunger at the same time? That there are doves and hawks and they are both beautiful and necessary? Or is it just a lie we tell ourselves to find a way to avoid the challenge and necessary work for a family? Is it possible for one generation to absorb the history of hurt and not pass it on? What do you say from the shadows of another room where you're always doing penance?
Very nice.
Thanks.
Strong all the way through. Just great work. Good imagery. That both beautiful and necessary line really got me because it says so much. You know, you could really just get lost in that. And
Thank you.
okay, Doug Van Hooser, and then Linda Imbler, Joel, Carol, and yeah, that's where we are.
Hi, everyone. The first poem I'm going to read is called Do not believe. Do not believe what I am about to tell you. The stories are not fiction, but they have baked too long. Ripeness cannot be preserved. I recognize my father's shadow in the mirror. When the light is right, I hear my mother. My siblings are artifacts cataloged in a museum basement. Friends are snowballs that melt or shatter, but a few are tennis balls, chewed and coated with saliva, one must retrieve again and again. We may never hold hands, but we dance. Our music shares the starlight, but bright spots in the dark. Now color drains from leaves that gather on the ground, the withered promise we no longer believe. We abandon each other like winter leaves autumn, a scarecrow left in the harvested field. The second poem, it's snowing in Wisconsin today. It's supposed to snow more. So I thought I'd read a poem that's got nothing to do with winter. It's called Ruby Throated. You hum as you hover, dart like a karate punch, retreat, observe, and dive. You inspect the abutilon bells, canna's red mittens, even the heirloom pink carnation geranium. But somehow you wend away into the greenhouse where blooms beckon. Glass captures the heat and you, blind to window panes, you knock and knock, but no door opens to the white oaks and blue sky. I retrieve a fishing net, try to scoop you from the glass, the pain of failed escapes, but I am inept, you elusive, until you tire, seek to hide behind the flowers' batting eyes and sheepish smiles that enticed you. I move 2 pots, expecting you to sprint, but your wings are spread like 2 hands on the knees, grasping breath. I take you in hand, a vibrating alarm, and bring you into the summer's hot hug. Open my hand, you launch, a firework that blasts into the sky. My anxiety takes flight and disappears with you, high in an oak's leaf sanctum. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to pause for just a second while Carol gets reseated, just because it makes the little ding noise. I don't want to break the cadence of anybody's work. And okay, so Linda and Joel. Yeah, Carol is already gone. I think that's where we are. Yeah. Okay, Linda, please. Linda Embler.
Hi, this is Linda. Hi, everybody. Boy, what beautiful work. This is Linda from Wichita, Kansas. This first poem is called Looking Beyond the Steel Machine. You were talking about the AI stuff last month, and we're all in consideration for that devil or angel called technology. Who should we curry favor with in this age of science and steel? If we must agree there are useless things, do not let those things be spring's hand waving nostalgic forest fragrance into the air. Scarred hills reminding us of the trampled wildness of the land when we trod too heavily upon the earth. Silken love passed between spouses, siblings, and parent-child. Blissful sleep enjoyed while calm candles' wicks are softly bowing. We're allowed the fate of time to fill our yesterdays and shape us in ways we were not meant to conform to. Must we sleep until our futures melt away and yesterday's tomorrows become tomorrow's yesterdays? We must hope to never be frightened into corners, seeing the world through fearful eyes, creating a new religion of the steel machine. Thank you.
Thank you.
The second one, we were talking about women and men and how they write earlier and their perspectives. This one is from a woman's perspective. It's called Hanging Out the Wash. She's hanging out the wash on a mild Sunday afternoon. The soft breeze should be calming, but her mind is not matching that mood. Her thoughts are on the blue shirt in front of her, the one that screams truth, the one she is pinning up. He wore it when he left the house last night. He also wore it when he stumbled in Sunday morning at 5 a.m., the one that now bears lipstick stains and the scent of whiskey. Moving on, she notices her daughter's underwear has no feminine stains on them. Isn't that odd? She thinks back, realizing it's been a while since she noticed any. She has noticed looser blouses and a more unusual profile, though. Moving on again, she examines her son's jeans. He, the son with the part-time job, whose pockets are now almost always bulging with money, which she removes and places quietly on his bed without question. Thinking about her son, she also thinks that the sheriff has been driving by the house more often than he used to do. Her own dresses, now double the size they were when she met Mr. 5 a.m. and they dated in high school. It's time for another load of wash. The basket is now feeling so very heavy. Thank you.
Thank you. So nice. And that perspective, from the male reader's perspective, things that we just never think of. It's pretty neat. Okay, Joel Savashinsky, I think is how we say that.
Thank you, Glenn, and greetings to everyone from Seattle, Washington. The first poem I wanted to read is called Remotely Yours. It appeared in the Poeming Pigeon back in 2021 in the early stages of the pandemic, which is its theme. Remotely Yours. Even the most ordered hours leave fragments in their wake. A bricolage of shards from which some latter-day student of our condition may try to reconstruct a life, plot an archaeology of the human spirit. In practice, in the moment, in a world gone newly viral, we fall to pieces every day. Whipsawed, jigsawed, machine cut, parsed by our would-be betters or the young who know no better, seeking that imaginary persona the analyst conjures from behind a couch, or the painter prophesies when facing the portrait's canvas. On our own, in front of the mirror, you try to pull yourself together. Less an act of construction than a feat of invention, a summing and a summoning of the subdivided, subcontracted parts we play, a son to our father, a father to our sons, a remote worker, long-distance learner, a name with no body for anybody, a Cheshire cat of the internet, asking its image, really? You? Are you safe? Are you there? And where, tell me, where is there? Thank you. Okay. And the second poem, also fairly short, appeared last year in the prize issue of Passenger magazine, a wonderful publication devoted largely to the work of older writers. So that kind of fits with the theme of what a number of people have raised today about how aging affects our creativity. And this deals with the environmental crisis and its personal impact. It's called High Tide, the Rack Line at Lincoln Park Beach, Puget Sound. Here's what we've given the world and what its broken heart pumps back to our shores. The bright bauble of plastic floats, the birds strangled in nylon string, blind fish and small shards from the sand-smooth glass of neglect. My grandchildren pick through the ocean's insults and offerings without distinction, indifferent to the fault line between art and artifice. They have not reached the age of discrimination or despair. The story of the rack line, high tide's seaweed weave of garbage and wreckage, is the tight sheath wrapped around the clogged vessels of my own broken heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a much smaller group today. We're missing some of our regulars. I won't remember everybody, but I made a quick little list here. Carol Mertz, Mary Gunn, Patrice, of course, Robert Baldwin, Jenny Pena, Francis Flavin, James Nicola, Debbie Walker Last, Ken Jones, and others. Just so you know, you are in our thoughts, and we can't all be together every week, but we missed your poems, and I hope that you guys do watch this and know that you were sorely missed, and we're looking forward to seeing you at one of the upcoming poetry events. Thank you all. I guess next month we're just going to sort of hit the winter theme for at least one of the two poems. So we'll wrap up winter and then we'll kind of break into those beautiful spring poems that everybody loves so much. I'm always excited to see those. Makes you feel all special. Thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Glenn. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Glenn.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care, all.
Bye, Ed. Take care, Doug and Linda and James.
Happy,
Joel,
joy-free
so good
peace.
today.
Be
Beautiful.
kind.
Linda
kind.
and Linda. Bye, Carol. Thanks for coming. We're glad to have you for your first time. We hope that you come back. Take care.